Hey guys, what's up? Saturday night, Carter here. What do you guys think of this white background? Too sterile? I don't know, it makes everything kind of darker. I'm not sure if I like that. Maybe I do. Let me know what you guys think. You can definitely see like weird shadows and stuff, like my beer here. Coors Light, Silver Bullet, that's my dad's beer. Anyways, so yeah, needless to say, this bottle cap opener / wave feature doohickey has been used quite a bit. I actually like it a lot. It may sound stupid, and for those of you that don't drink beer, you know, it will be. But it actually comes in really handy just having this in your pocket. And, you know, I've had bottle openers on my keychain before, and those are great. But it's also another thing hanging off your frickin' keychain that, you know, that's all it does. So it's kind of nice having a bottle opener on your EDC that you have anyways. But that's not the point of this video. So I've been carrying this thing fairly religiously ever since I got it. I took a little break for a few hours to carry something else. But other than that, since I got this, which is before the first unboxing video actually, a few days before, I've been carrying this. Been carrying it really religiously. And as I do, I start tweaking things. So I've been messing around with the lock bar a little bit, trying to see if I can reduce the pressure. Not a good idea for those out there that want to try that. And it really comes down to how thick this cutout is, or rather what's left. It's storing a lot of energy in this lock bar, and there's just no way to change that without tweaking how this is locking up by maybe carbonizing it or getting a larger stop pin or something like that. Because the problem is this lock bar has a lot of tension on it, but it's not actually bent this way all that far. It's really only bent a tad bit more than right here. So if you reduce this tension by bending it this way, you're not going to get a full lockup. The reason why it's so strong isn't due to how far, you know, towards the lock it is bent. It actually has to do with this cutout right here, which, you know, I'm just letting you guys know it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It has its downsides in that it's harder to disengage. It has its good sides in that it's, you know, it's stronger. The thicker that is, the stronger this frame lock's going to be. But that's not actually what I tweaked. What I tweaked is right here inside this piece right here. As soon as we focus, you guys want to grab a coffee. There we go. Right there. I actually angled that in and rounded off this jimping a lot more. From the factory, it's basically flat all the way along this way. They did kind of round some of this off a little, but this is basically flat. And it's, you know, that mixed with the tension, the strength of this lock bar, it gets pretty uncomfortable because when you're pressing it, you're actually pressing the corner. You know, you're pressing a corner. So I took a dremel to it. It's not pretty, but I took a dremel to it. So now when you're pressing it, you know, even though it's got a lot of pressure and it's very stiff, you're at least pressing something flat when you go to disengage it. So I'm kind of, this is weird, I'm not really doing a review. What I'm doing is a series of videos where I kind of talk about all these aspects, but I'll probably still compile everything into a review. But that is definitely one of the downsides of this design, is it's pretty uncomfortable to disengage. The counterpoint to that is the purpose of this knife is not to be played with, it's to be used. So in normal use, you're going to open this very rarely, actually. And you're going to close it very rarely. You know, I mean, if you're out in the woods or in a situation where you're using a knife regularly, you're still only going to be really closing it a few times a day. You know, you're probably only going to do 3 or 4 actual cutting tasks where you complete the task and you close the knife. So I'm really only complaining because I've been watching TV and opening and closing this thing out of boredom. Which, by the way, there's another hot spot. It's this pocket clip right here. Because it's so long, it kind of hits your finger when you go to close it sometimes. But once again, that's only noticeable if you're dinking around with it, watching TV, opening it and closing it over and over again. in an actual usage situation, it would not be a bother. So, you know, I don't know. I figured I'd still mention it because, you know, people do that. People play with their knives. In fact, probably more than they actually use their knives, they play with them. But at the same time, you have to take that with a grain of salt because that's not its intended use. But anyway, so yeah, I took a little Dremel action to it. You know, the actual shaping of it isn't bad. What makes it look bad is just the contrast of the finishes. You've got kind of this satiny, kind of crusty looking finish here with a nice stone wash. If I were to take this, bead blast it, re-stone wash it, you'd probably think it was factory. Probably. But because, you know, I'm not matching the finish whatsoever, you can really kind of see it, and it looks kind of bad. But anyways, this was meant as a user, and so it'll be used as a user. And, you know, the price, which is a lot for some, is still very low for a good quality frame lock, which this is. It's not perfect, but things seldom are. But I wish it was perfect, because I would really like to be able to say that this knife is just amazing. It's good. It's not amazing. It's got some issues. But yeah, so I'll continue carrying this and testing it out. I can tell already there's some things with the lock face that I'm slightly kind of concerned with. You know, they really could have rectified it, and I'll just talk about it now. Okay, so kind of like I was talking about with the too much tension, that would be okay as long as the lockup was kind of earlier, like here. But because the lockup comes out of the box like at 45% and then it settles in at 50% fairly early on, kind of creates a problem because you're getting pretty close to the extent of the bend on this lock bar, right? And normally you'd say, well, just bend it more. But because this is already under such high tension, if you bend it more, man, it's gonna be murder to try and close this thing. It's already hard. You know, once you have to start bending this over to increase your lockup coverage, it's going to be really tough. So had this lockup been earlier, wouldn't have been such a big deal, or had this lock bar not had so much energy and tension in it, it wouldn't have been so bad. But because both those issues exist, it does kind of create a little bit of a potential lockup problem for the future. And of course that problem needs to be taken with a grain of salt too, because the problem really only amounts to, you know, lock rock, which is annoying, but doesn't actually affect the function of the knife. It doesn't cause it to slip, it doesn't cause it to unlock, it'll cut just fine, it'll open and close just fine. It just makes an annoying noise. So keep that in mind. Nobody likes lock rock, but we got to keep it in perspective in terms of the usability of a knife. You know, it's a little annoying, but doesn't cause the functionality to stop. And of course, you know, I'm predicting that lock rock wouldn't occur in this particular knife here for quite a while. You know, unless I did something super crazy that would cause this blade to kind of seat back farther. You know, doing some sort of batoning or, you know, chopping or something like that, but just using it as a blade, as an EDC blade, you know, to cut cardboard, paper, packages, you know, even like whittling a little bit of wood or something. I don't see it having an issue for quite a while. I did notice that DPX has came out with a new model, which I'm really kind of disappointed in. It's basically limited edition or something. Version that has black G10 and black DLC coated, kind of like my Strider TI, and then some goofy serrations right here. So basically just a blacked out version for twice the cost. And I'm a little disappointed in that because I was really hoping they would come out with maybe a version 3 that would address whatever existing problems are still here, and then maybe offer a larger size, offer a different blade finish, you know, something more substantial than just black TI, black. black G10, and some serrations. So that's a little bit of a bummer. I'd really like to see this company kind of pull itself up and produce. I mean, they have so much potential. I mean, what they've produced for 175 bucks here is really outstanding. And if they could only get like just on that right track, man, they would really be making some stuff that'll turn some heads. But I'm kind of worried that they're not going to do that. But anyway, so that is a little update on the DPX H.E.S.T. Once again, I've taken a 2-minute video, turned it into an 11-minute video, and for that, I apologize, and I will let you guys go. Carter out.